Hi, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. My name is Joshua Dinelli, and I am a community group leader for 4th through 6th grade students at the Cheektowaga campus of the chapel. First off, welcome to the ministry. If this is your first time, I'm so excited to get to work with you at some point. I can't wait to meet you, and I'm sure you're going to love this role. If you're returning, glad to have you back. You already know what it's all about. But let's have a little discussion today about the things we're going to be doing for these students. And the biggest thing with this role is helping preteen students get prepared for the development of their faith as they encounter a personal walk with Jesus Christ, as well as just getting to ask those big questions that, they're transitioning out of that 1st through 3rd grade mold, right, where they're doing like activities where they're going to be more asked to think for themselves, and we get to have an awesome role of helping them get along in that, and it's going to be great. So I sit back, relax, and enjoy what you're about to learn. So now we're going to talk about your role as a small group leader. Your role is to basically be a consistent, trusted adult in these young students' lives as they start navigating their way, like I mentioned, to between 1st through 3rd grade and 7th through 8th grade. These kids are going through a very tumultuous time where they're going to have pressures from all different areas, and they're going to start to explore things on their own. And it's our job to just kind of keep them on focus, keep them on point, most importantly, create trusting relationships. Okay, the most benefit I've gotten is by being a trusted adult for these students, someone they can rely on, someone they can talk to, someone who's consistently there. They know you're going to be there. They're looking forward to seeing you. So building relationships will help lead to them taking your walk into consideration, and they're going to learn how to develop their spiritual growth by you modeling it out for them. Their parents do that. Our pastors do that. But it's also our job to model and disciple these students. Greet each student by name. They'll have name tags hopefully on their chest. That's where I tell my students to put them, but in their upper chest, like shoulder area, so you can easily see their name and important information like allergy info, phone numbers, things we'll get into later. Okay, know their names, learn their names, call little nicknames where appropriate. You know what I mean? Build those relationships, build trust, and be eager, be excited. Make sure they know you want to see them. They're going to want to see you. Review and prepare your lesson ahead of time. So we're going to have the lesson mapped out, but when those hit your inbox or when those hit the services app, read them, study them, learn them, so that you're prepared to speak to the students and to lead the discussion, which we'll get into in a little bit. But also guide activities and prayer. So we have activities for the kids to do that might help apply what they've just learned, but be prepared to lead those and to help with those, because sometimes the kids may not understand what the instructions are, and it's just our job to facilitate. But again, all that comes with a relationship and building that trust, and they'll want to learn what we're learning. How to lead discussions well. First things first, facilitate a conversation. Don't make another sermon. They already just had a sermon. There's no reason to make another sermon. Let them learn and grasp and apply what they have learned. And you can do that by asking open-ended questions. Sure, yes and no questions will help, but those get boring real quick. And those are conversation killers. Ask open-ended questions. Ask them to elaborate. How? Why? How do they make you feel? What would you do in this situation? When have you had a chance to share the gospel? Things of that nature. Ask for details, follow-up questions, things like that, which also comes into play if you know the lesson ahead of time. If you're prepared, you'll be able to do this much better. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Affirm their questions. They're kids. They're going to have questions. Some of them are going to have really hard questions. Affirm them. Let them know that if you don't have the answer, I don't know it's a good answer. That's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. If you don't know the answer to a question, affirm the question, but then say, hey, I really don't know. Be honest and real in your faith sharing. I like to tell the kids stories of my life where appropriate, right? I like to tell the students where I messed up in life, or where I maybe made a left when I should have made a right. because I'm not perfect. Neither are you, neither are they. And if they see that you're fallible and you're not trying to be holier than thou, they're going to learn to trust you more because you're being vulnerable with them. Vulnerability begets vulnerability. And then, yeah, guide the conversation towards truth and how to apply that. Know the biblical truths we're teaching and just kind of guide the conversation that way. That comes with time and experience, but make sure you're doing that. So we're going to talk about managing the group now. And the first thing you want to do is you want to set clear, understandable expectations. My friend Curtis used to tell me this all the time, and he used to start his groups by going, hey, look, guys, we're going to be real, we're going to be authentic, and we're going to be respectful. And he'd explain that if he wasn't sure they knew what he meant. And then he'd say, hey, look, we're going to grade on this at the end of the things, and we're going to see how we did, okay? So just make sure they know what the expectations are. Set the table early, and don't deviate from that. If a kid's getting out of line, you got to be able to guide that back in the right direction. Redirect distractions gently. Always be polite and concerned with the kids. Walk gently and just kind of, hey, we're getting on this path. We really need to get back to this path, or how does that relate? Okay, don't shut them down, but definitely redirect that conversation. Okay, and again, that's something that comes with time and experience. Bounce it off your partner, because you'll always have a partner, right? Bounce it off your partner how to do that. Make sure you engage both the talkative kids and the quiet kids. The talkative kids can overpower the room. So make sure you kind of engage with them, of course, but don't let the non-so-talkative kids get left out. Make sure they have the opportunity to speak. Don't force them, but initiate the conversation with them. Hey, hey, student X, you haven't said much. What do you think about this? Give them the option. Give them the opportunity. And then balance fun with meaningful discussion. It's supposed to be fun. It's been fun for me for the last 8 years, but you got to be on point. So there's ways to balance fun with meaningful discussion. Use your imagination, but yeah, definitely do those things, and you'll have a great time with group. Well, here's another major important part of this ministry, and that's partnering with our students' parents. Some of us are parents ourselves, right? So we know how we'd want to be approached by the community group leader, but obviously, first things first, greet the parent. They got to come, they got to show you the tag, get their name, learn their name too. Or Mr. or Mrs., use your discretion on that, right? Share encouraging stories. If their kid has just been a rock star, let the parent know, because the parent might not see that. You know what I mean? The kids put out a front a lot of times. In my experience, they've put out a front like they're too cool for school, but then they really get it. Share that with the parents. Maybe take them to the side, or if the kid deserves praise in front of his parent, hey, little Tony here, he did a fantastic job today. He led the group, he led prayer. He's never done that before. Let them know, man. Let the parents know what's going on. And then support the parents by reinforcing biblical truths that we're learning. And most of the time in big service, they're learning what we're learning in chapel kids, so that when you guys drive home, when the kids drive home with their parents, they can talk about, well, yeah, today we learned about, Paul writing to the Colossians, or today we learned about, Jonah and the whale, or today we learned about, whatever. It's the same thing, so that you guys can have that, so the parents can have that same conversation, okay? So let the parents know, hey, here's what we're learning, here's what we're doing. Just keep reminding them of that. Share wins, and, that'll encourage the parents, and that's super huge. And then the kids, then the parents go, hey, I heard from Mr. Josh that you were doing this today, because the kids are at that age where they're not going to tell them yourselves. We're talking about safety and care reminders. This is super important. Obviously, if teaching the kids about Jesus is 1A, then safety is 1B. Okay, safety first. And one of those things is obviously following all safety check-in and emergency procedures. Okay, check with your family ministry coordinator for more about that. There's trainings about those things. We should never be alone with a child. We're already with 2 adults to a space, so make sure if a kid has to go to the bathroom, you radio or you get a hold of the staff volunteer. They'll take them into the place where there's other volunteers in the hallway, so the kid's not alone. The kid can go to the bathroom on their own. So make sure that you're never alone with a child. And that's just for, safety protocols and accountability. Safety for the kids is of the tantamount most important thing, besides learning about Jesus, of course. Um, with safety and love on these kids, man, and you'll do great. So, lastly, I just want to encourage you guys, and I want to tell a little bit about myself. I've been doing student ministry for 8 years, and it's been 8 of the most wonderful years of my life, getting to see students grow, go on to the next level. When they come back and they remember you, hey, Mr. Josh, remember you did this goofy thing at camp, or hey, Mr. Josh, remember when you told us about that time that you did this, and those things really stick with you. Um, Seeing your students get baptized is one of the most phenomenal feelings in the world. That you had a part in God's plan to bring them to obedience. Even if it's a small part, it's still a part. And that comes with consistency. That comes with the love of Jesus Christ pouring out through you to them. An example I always use with my students is God's love is like a candle, right? Like a birthday cake and a candle, and the candle's on a birthday cake, right? So when someone lights the first candle and you put the candle on the other candles, the original candle stays lit, and now all these other candles have light. So, just being consistent and giving the love of Jesus Christ to them just multiplies that love. And this is a critical time for these students. They're going to be going into 7th, 8th grade in a couple of years. Middle school's tough, high school's tough. But the church needs to be there for these students, and I'm just grateful that you're walking with us in that mission, that these kids can have repeated opportunities to see, hear, and experience the love of Jesus Christ, man. It is such an awesome thing that we're doing, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I've seen it with my own eyes. The impact that this ministry has on these students is phenomenal, and we couldn't do it without volunteers like you and me. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking the time today to watch this. Again, thank you, because this is a wonderful journey you're about to go on.